everybody, 911 Systems here with a hopefully 5-minute long or less video that goes over the programming of the SA834 Station Alert Controller. So opening up the product configuration tool, which is a terminal program, basically. You can use this program, you can use PuTTY, or whatever the case may be. But with our program that we include on the flash drive with the product, you would open it up, make sure your device is connected to 12 volts of power and the USB cable is connected. Open this program, come over to the left side of the screen here, and you're going to click on the COM port. If you have a lot of different COM devices connected, you may need to figure out which one you need to connect to. In this case, it's COM 8. Once you do that, you can give the P command. P is for program. That's going to bring up this command here that allows you to program different parameters into the unit itself. So, as you can see on this screen, you're going to have your timers, your input actions, which should just be called actions, and that may come down the road in a new firmware update. The PA timer, which is how long the audio would go louder for, or how long the audio would open in general if you don't have it in a monitor state. We'll talk about that in a few. And then down below is the monitor state. So you can choose with this device, it can connect 3 different audio sources. So you can have 2 pagers, a radio, a pager, and a scanner. You could have just 1 pager. You could have 2 radios and a pager, weather radio, pager, radio. There's so many different combinations you can do. The monitor sources are labeled based on the port labels on the back. So there's a pager A, a pager B, and an auxiliary in port. So you can choose one of those 3 audio channels as your monitor source. And what that does is when you turn the monitor on by jumping the monitor ports together with ground, or by putting a switch in or a timer, that's the channel that would always monitor when that is on. So moving right along, we're going to go into the timers here. And as you can see here, we allow you to do a on delay, which will delay X amount of seconds before activating. That's the first number here. And then the second part of that number is going to be how long that relay should stay on for. And then if you need to pause it, how long should you pause it for? And then how often should it repeat? So in this case, this is a gong. So we delay it for 2 seconds. We have it apply power to the gong for half a second. We wait 1 second and we repeat it 3 times. That gives you 3 strikes to the gong. Now, we're not having very good luck with our gong at the 0.5 seconds. So what we're probably going to do is end up changing that to, say, 0.8 seconds and see how that does. So I'm going to show you how to do a time change here. You press number 4 because that's the relay output that we need to change. And you're just going to type in the numbers. You have to type in the entire sequence. So you're going to do 002 for a 2-second delay. Then you're going to do 0000, and then it automatically puts the decimal in there, and you're going to press the number 8 because we're going to do 0.8 seconds. Then we need to delay for 1 second, and we need to cycle 3 times. So now you can see here that new information has been put in. So it's pretty much that simple. You can do that with each one of the 4 outputs. Each one of the 4 outputs is independently programmable. So let's go and look at your input settings, your input actions. Here you're going to have a few more options after you choose your input actions, and that's going to be your relays, live PA, and MP3 files. And then, of course, number 4 is your normally open, normally closed. And I can tell you right now, we're going to go over 5 minutes on this video. So much for trying. Let's keep it under 7.5 minutes. So talking a little more on the input actions here, this allows you to choose which input triggers, such as the pager A, pager B, and audio detect, or one of the 3 inputs that are also available for like buttons and whatnot would activate. So what we're going to do here is we're going to press number 1 to look at the relays. And you can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inputs. So 1, 2, and 3 are just that, inputs 1, 2, and 3. Those are screw terminals on the back of the unit that allow you to trigger the device with a ground signal. 4 is pager A, and 5 is pager B, and then 6 being the audio detect circuit. So if you have a Vox setup, if you're using a scanner, or you're using a radio for talk group dispatching, and you should only get an alert on that audio when there's an actual audio signal, you can set this controller to alert for that. It also works with like Active 911, I Am Responding, CAD programs like WebView for Tyler systems, and several other applications. You can run an audio signal in and you can say, hey, if you detect audio on this channel, give me a pre-alert. And it usually works pretty good. So you can see here for button 1, we have relays 1, 2, and 3 will activate. And on this particular setup, 1 is the red lights, 2 is the blue lights, and 3 is the ringing bell. And then on this setup, relay 4 is the gong. So you can see when pager A goes off right here, it's going to turn on the red lights and strike the gong 3 times because that's what the timer settings are set for. And then when there's a medical call, which is pager B, that's going to turn on the blue lights and ring the bell. Button 1 is actually set up as an emergency button on the front ramp, so it does the red, blue lights, and it does a bell, as well as plays a message, which we'll talk to here shortly. So these relays, if you need to change a relay, you can just press the relay that you need to change. I'm sorry, the input that you need to change the relay settings for. So let's change the relay settings for audio detect. Let's say you want to turn on all 3. So I hit 1 twice, that's my fault, but the system knows that you can only turn on relay 1 once. So you can see now if there's an activation by Vox, all 4 relays will activate and go down their time on their scheduled time settings. So let's go ahead and escape out of relays because we've pretty much got that one explained. And now we're going to go into input actions again, but we're going to go to live PA. So here is where you choose what audio source each device you're trying to activate should listen for audio on after there's an activation. So as you can see, if any one of the buttons are pressed, input 1, 2, or 3 that we have connected to input 1, 2, or 3, will listen to the audio on the auxiliary input. See, number 3 is auxiliary input, number 3 here. And then you'll also see that pager A listens to, well, pager A, and pager 2 listens to pager 2. So that being said, that leaves us with the actual audio input, which we have set for the aux input, which is set at 3, which is aux in as well. And sorry, I'm kind of like stumbling a little bit through this because I'm trying to think why I have, the aux input set for all this, and now I'm starting to see why my testing wasn't working so well because I have the wrong input set. But nonetheless, this all works exactly as it's programmed. So what we want to do is for 1, we're going to want to make that pager 1, and for 2, we want to make that pager 2's audio. So now all this will work a little better. Let me see here. So, but this is your audio inputs, and we're going to go back into input actions one more time. We're going to look at MP3 files. So here, these are the MP3 audio files that are on your card, on your micro SD card. These MP3 audio files are numbered from 001 to 255, and we have about 100 audio files that we provide on a micro SD card, but you can load your own. The MP3 player that is built into this unit will play the audio that you load onto the card in its entirety. You just have to follow the numbering. So if you wanted to have your own audio file and say you put it on as MP3 file 201, you could simply go here, choose 1, because you want to change the audio file that's going to sound for when button 1 is pressed on input 1. And you're going to change this to 201 and then 052. So now audio file 201 followed by audio file 052 will play whenever that button is pressed that's connected to input 1. Now on this SD card, there's obviously we don't have a file 201, it's empty slot, but you could put your own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this back to where it was, which was 006 and 052. So now you can see that that has been changed back. So that's how you choose your audio files. This is very similar to how the SA951 works. It's almost identical. It just has less options because it doesn't have like a tone decoder built in. And it doesn't have a radio connected that you can transmit out of, which you can do with the SA951. So PA timer is going to be our next thing to talk about on here. This is how long the audio will turn on for if you have this connected to your speaker system in the station, and you do not have it in monitor mode. This is how long the audio will turn on to broadcast the call after there's an alert. Now, we do have a monitor mode, and in the monitor mode, when it's in monitor mode, when it goes into live PA, which it's going to do after a call, any call, it's going to go into live PA mode, and that is going to be for as long as you have it set here. It will be at a louder level. So just think like live PA, louder audio level, where when you're in monitor mode, it's at a lower level. So just something to think about. And we'll talk about some of those settings in another video, because there are some adjustable volume pots on the circuit board itself of the SA834 that will let you get the audio balanced and sounding the way you want it to sound. All right. So, and then monitor source, we talked about this a little bit. This just lets you choose what audio source, pager A, pager B, or the aux in, which audio, when you're in monitor mode, should it listen to. So we're going to change this to pager A. So now you see that it changed and it shows currently programmed to 1. So now we're going to be listening to pager A. So that's it for the programming. It's pretty straightforward. There are some adjustments on the board. There's some jumpers you can change. Either pager B or the aux input has a jumper to choose which one will activate by audio detect. And then there's also jumpers on the relays that choose if you want the relays to be 12 volt DC or if you want them to be normally open, or if you want them to be switched ground. So there'll be another video. Look for other videos on our channel here shortly, and they should be able to answer most of your questions. If not, feel free to give us a call. And hey, 12 minutes and 30 seconds. It's a little more than 5 minutes, but it's kind of informative. And sorry I stumbled through this. It's midnight where I'm at, and I just wanted to get this done as soon as I could. So have a great night, guys, and thanks for watching.